Have you ever pondered why it is crucial to learn from history and the potential hazards that misinterpretation can bring? As we journey through the annals of time, we see that history, like a treasure trove, offers us a wealth of knowledge. However, it's not just about memorizing dates or events. It's about understanding the essence of those happenings, the motivations, the strategies, and the outcomes. Take, for instance, the Korean War, a significant event on the global stage. It's a perfect illustration of how the past can offer us invaluable insights. But what happens when we misinterpret these events? It's akin to looking at a distorted mirror. You see an image, but it's twisted and warped. Misinterpretations can lead us to draw incorrect lessons, hindering our ability to make useful assessments of historical events. It's like a compass guiding us in the wrong direction. Misunderstanding the Korean War could lead us to flawed assumptions about deterrence during the original Cold War. As we delve into the Korean War, we will uncover how misinterpretations can distort our understanding and lead to incorrect conclusions. Please subscribe to this channel. Your single membership is extremely valuable for our growth and motivation. To receive regular updates, click the bell icon. Let this be a reminder of the importance of learning from history, not just as a record of our past, but as a compass for our future. The Truman administration is often criticized for its failure in deterrence during the Korean War. This criticism stems from the perceived misinterpretation of the strategic intent of the Chinese, Soviet, and Korean communists during the armistice negotiations. Critics argue that the Truman administration's understanding of the situation was, in fact, flawed. They believed that the administration failed to accurately gauge the intentions of the Chinese, the Soviets, and the Koreans, leading to a series of strategic missteps. For instance, the administration might have underestimated the level of commitment Stalin had towards avoiding direct conflict with the United States. This commitment only wavered when he perceived a softening in Washington's stance on military intervention in East Asia. The Truman administration also seemed to overlook the lack of unity and consensus within the communist camp, which could have been exploited for strategic advantage. Moreover, the Truman administration's interpretation of the adversary's intent may have been influenced by a lack of understanding of the structural changes happening in international politics. With the victory of the Chinese communists and the Soviets' successful nuclear weapon test, the dynamics of power were shifting rapidly. These changes had a significant impact on the decision-making process of the adversaries. It is essential to note how the structural changes in international politics influenced the decision-making of the adversaries. The strategic considerations of China, Russia, and North Korea during the war were far from united. Rather than a single, cohesive communist front, these nations were a camp riddled with differing opinions and objectives. One major point of disagreement was the issue of prisoners of war. Mao, China's leader, was adamant about an all-for-all exchange, starkly contrasting with the United States' insistence on non-forcible repatriation. This lack of unity extended even to the question of a ceasefire. In the second half of 1952, the positions of Mao and Kim, North Korea's leader, underwent a dramatic shift. Initially, Mao had been willing to compromise on a ceasefire, but as the war dragged on, he shifted towards prolonging the conflict. Kim, on the other hand, who had been more reluctant to compromise, became more amenable to the idea of a ceasefire. However, the most chilling strategic consideration came from Russia's Stalin. He saw the lives of the Chinese and Koreans not as individuals to be protected, but as pawns in a larger game of geopolitical chess. His cold calculation was to use them to draw the United States into a protracted war of attrition in the Far East, a move designed to alleviate Soviet pressures in Europe. Stalin's calculation to use the lives of the Chinese and Koreans to ensnare the United States in a long war of attrition in the Far East had significant implications. Drawing incorrect lessons from history can hinder our understanding and assessment of past events. The Korean War, a pivotal period in global history, is no exception. Let's revisit some key points. Firstly, the Truman administration's failure in deterrence during the war was often criticized. Yet it's crucial to note that the strategic intent of the Chinese, Soviet, and Korean communists was not as unified as often portrayed. Historical events like the rise of Chinese communists and the Soviets' successful nuclear weapon test significantly influenced their decision-making. Stalin's commitment to avoid direct conflict with the US, for instance, was only altered when he perceived a softening in Washington's stance on military intervention in East Asia. This is a stark reminder that the motives of historical figures and nations are often complex and multidimensional, not simply black and white. Secondly, the strategic considerations of China, Russia, and North Korea were not singular. Divisions were evident, particularly over the issue of prisoners of war. Mao demanded an all-for-all exchange, while the US insisted on non-forcible repatriation. The positions of Mao and Kim on a ceasefire also flipped in the second half of 1952, illustrating that strategies and stances can change rapidly in the face of political pressures. These misinterpretations of the Korean War have impacted our understanding of the event and, by extension, the original Cold War. They serve as a reminder that history is not a static, immovable entity, but a dynamic and ever-changing narrative that requires careful examination and accurate interpretation. The importance of learning from history and avoiding misinterpretation cannot be overstated, as it shapes our understanding and influences our future actions. Please subscribe to this channel. Your single membership is extremely valuable for our growth and motivation. To receive regular updates, click the bell icon.